You finally got the raise, the promotion, the bonus. Your bank account looks exactly how you dreamed it would 5 years ago. So why is it that the more money you make, the less life you actually have left at the end of the day? Today, we're talking about the high-income exhaustion trap. Picture this. It's a Tuesday night in the United States. Could be Atlanta, could be Denver, could be outside of Seattle. Doesn't matter. Someone is sitting at their kitchen table at 10 p.m., laptop still open, half-eaten dinner pushed to the side. They just got off a call they weren't supposed to be on. Their salary is $87,000 a year. That's more than they've ever made. That's more than both of their parents ever made. And yet, something feels off. The car payment is $520 a month. Rent jumped again. Healthcare premiums went up in January. The gym membership they don't use is still auto-renewing. And there's this dull, persistent hum in the back of their mind that they can't quite name. That hum is financial anxiety, and it doesn't care how much money is coming in. My name is Ely, and I spend way too much time thinking about how people in the US experience money psychologically. If you're someone who earns a normal income, maybe even more than you used to, but still doesn't feel financially secure, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Because what we're about to get into is not about investing strategies or side hustles. It's about something that almost no one talks about: the gap between what you earn and what you actually feel. Before we go anywhere else, here's a number worth sitting with. According to a survey by the American Psychological Association, money is consistently ranked as the #1 source of stress for Americans, above work, above health, above family. And that's not just people in financial hardship. That stress response shows up across income levels. People earning $75,000, $95,000, even $120,000 a year report feeling financially insecure. So the question isn't just, why are people broke? The real question is, why does earning more money so often fail to fix the feeling? Here's the thing. The financial system in the United States is built in a way that almost guarantees you'll feel like you're running behind, regardless of what you make. And the reason isn't a lack of effort. It's not laziness. It's not even a lack of financial literacy. It's something more invisible. It's about what your brain is actually doing with the experience of money. Let's start with some math, because the math reveals something important before we even get to the psychology. The median household income in the US is around $74,000, according to the US Census Bureau. Sounds reasonable until you start building the actual cost of a life. Rent for a 2-bedroom apartment in most mid-sized American cities, not New York, not San Francisco, just a normal city, runs between $1,500 and $2,200 a month. That's $18,000 to $26,000 a year, just to have a place to sleep. Add a car payment, because in most of this country public transit is not a realistic option, and you're looking at another $5,000 to $7,500 a year. Health insurance premiums for an individual average around $560 a month through the marketplace, per Kaiser Family Foundation data. Groceries, utilities, student loan payments. And suddenly that $74,000 income starts looking thin very quickly. After taxes, the take-home might be $54,000. After fixed expenses, it could be $20,000 to $25,000 for the rest of life. That's food, clothing, entertainment, emergencies, savings, everything. Now, here's where it gets interesting. When someone gets a raise, let's say they go from $74,000 to $88,000, the rational expectation is that they should feel significantly better. And for about 3 weeks, they do. Then something strange happens. The lifestyle adjusts. Maybe they move to a slightly nicer apartment. Maybe they finally get the car they've been putting off. Maybe they start going out to eat more often because they've earned it. And within a few months, the new income feels exactly like the old income felt. Tight, just manageable, not quite enough. This is not a personal failure. This has a name. Economists call it the hedonic treadmill. Psychologists call it adaptation. What it means is that human beings are hardwired to return to a baseline level of satisfaction regardless of what changes in their circumstances. A raise feels like progress. Then it becomes the new normal. Then it doesn't feel like anything at all. And the finish line just moved again. Now you might be thinking, okay, but if someone just had more discipline, if they just didn't upgrade their life every time they got a raise, wouldn't this be solved? And that's a fair objection. But here's what most people don't realize. The pressure to upgrade isn't coming from a character flaw. It's coming from the environment. In the United States specifically, there is an enormous social infrastructure built around the idea that earning more means living more visibly. The neighborhood you live in signals your status. The car you drive signals your status. The restaurants you can afford to go to, the vacations you take, the clothes you wear, all of it is legible to other people. And the brain, which is a deeply social organ, is constantly scanning for where it stands relative to others. Psychologists call this social comparison theory, and it is relentlessly active in American culture in a way that's almost unique in the developed world. Studies show that people's satisfaction with their income is less about the absolute number and more about how that number compares to people around them. Someone making $70,000 in a neighborhood where everyone makes $50,000 feels wealthy. That same person making $70,000 in a neighborhood where everyone makes $110,000 feels behind. Same income, completely different psychological experience. This is why moving into a nicer area after a raise can actually increase financial anxiety rather than reduce it. Here's the thing about the United States specifically. The cost of perceived normalcy keeps rising. 40 years ago, a single income could support a family. A modest house, a car, public school, maybe a one-week vacation. That was a middle-class life, and it was achievable. Today, that same lifestyle, adjusted for modern equivalents, requires two incomes and a significant amount of debt management. The Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances has shown that even as incomes have risen in nominal terms, the share of Americans who describe themselves as financially comfortable has barely moved in decades. The floor keeps getting raised. Keeping up isn't ambition anymore, it's just maintenance. And this is where the exhaustion part of the equation enters. Because here's what happens physiologically when someone is managing financial stress chronically. The body responds to financial uncertainty the same way it responds to a physical threat. Cortisol rises, sleep quality drops, cognitive bandwidth, the mental capacity to make good decisions, to think clearly, to be present, gets consumed by the low-level monitoring of, are we going to be okay? Research from Princeton University, the same study that produced the often-cited work on income and emotional well-being, found that financial stress behaves like cognitive load. It doesn't just feel bad. It literally takes up mental space. It slows you down. It makes you worse at your job, worse in your relationships, more reactive, more impulsive. The stress of not feeling financially secure doesn't just drain your happiness. It drains the very resources you need to get ahead. So think about what that actually means. The person making $87,000, running on 3 months of accumulated financial anxiety, not sleeping well, second-guessing every purchase, comparing themselves to a coworker who seems to have it more together. That person is making financial decisions from a depleted cognitive state. They're more likely to make impulsive purchases, more likely to avoid looking at their bank account because it produces a stress response, more likely to hit a restaurant on the way home from a long day because cooking feels like one more task they don't have bandwidth for. These aren't moral failures. These are predictable outcomes of a nervous system that's been in low-grade alarm mode for months. Now look, this is the part where a lot of finance channels would tell you to make a budget, cut your subscriptions, automate your savings, and get your spending under control. And listen, none of that is wrong advice. But it misses something critical. Behavior follows belief. And until the beliefs change, the behavior rarely does in any sustainable way. The belief that needs to change first is this one, that more money will eventually produce the feeling of security. Because the data, the psychology, and the lived experience of millions of Americans says clearly it often doesn't. Not automatically, not without intention. Here's a metaphor that might land better than another budget spreadsheet. Imagine someone is carrying a backpack full of rocks. Every month, they try to walk a little faster. They get stronger, technically. They can handle the weight better than they used to. But nobody ever stopped to ask why they're carrying the rocks in the first place. Some of those rocks were handed to them: student debt, medical bills from 2 years ago, a car they needed to keep a job. Some of those rocks they picked up themselves, not out of stupidity, but because the culture around them normalized carrying them. The lease on a car they couldn't quite afford. The apartment upgrade that felt earned. Some rocks are the invisible weight of comparison, of constantly measuring their progress against a standard that was never actually defined. The exhaustion isn't just about working too hard. It's about the weight that doesn't get put down even when the workday ends. And more income doesn't remove the rocks. It can help. Genuinely, more income helps. But without addressing why the rocks keep accumulating and what's keeping someone from putting any of them down, a raise is just a stronger back. Now here's where this gets practical, because the point isn't just to name the problem, it's to actually move through it. The first thing worth doing is separating financial reality from financial feeling. These are two different things, and the brain treats them as the same. Financial reality is the spreadsheet: income, fixed expenses, variable expenses, debt, savings. Financial feeling is the emotional experience of money, which is heavily influenced by comparison, fear, identity, and history. Most people make their biggest financial decisions from the feeling side, while telling themselves they're being rational. The fix isn't to eliminate the feeling. That's not possible. The fix is to get the two into the same room. Actually look at the numbers. Not to shame yourself, but to separate "this is what's true" from "this is what my brain is catastrophizing about." Very often, the reality is less dire than the feeling. Sometimes it's more dire. Either way, you need to know which one you're actually dealing with. The second thing is to audit what's driving the lifestyle. Not to go minimalist, not to deprive yourself, but to ask honestly which expenses are producing genuine satisfaction and which ones are performing a status function for an audience that isn't really watching as closely as it feels like they are. The Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditure Survey consistently shows that Americans spend a significant portion of discretionary income on things that don't measurably increase well-being: bigger vehicles than they need, housing that exceeds their actual usage, brand preferences driven more by signaling than by quality. None of that is criminal. All of it is human. But asking the question creates space for choices that weren't there before. The third thing, and this one is less obvious, is to consciously define what enough looks like before the next raise arrives. Because if enough is never defined, the brain will always recalibrate it upward. This is not a productivity hack. It's a psychological intervention. Research on goal setting and satisfaction consistently shows that having an explicit, defined target produces more well-being than an open-ended upward trajectory. The goal doesn't have to be small. It just has to be real. $20, 000 in savings, and a monthly budget that doesn't require stress. That's a target. More is not a target. More is a treadmill. Here's what most people don't realize: the relief they're waiting for, the feeling of financial safety, of being okay, of not having to hold their breath every time an unexpected expense shows up. That feeling is not automatically delivered by a specific number on a paycheck. It is built. It is constructed intentionally through behavior that creates actual margin, real breathing room between income and spending, and through the psychological work of decoupling worth from wealth. That second part sounds abstract, but it matters enormously in American culture specifically, because there is a deeply embedded narrative in the United States that financial status is a reflection of character, of effort, of virtue. The wealthier someone is, the more they're assumed to have earned it in some moral sense. And the flip side of that, the shame that comes with financial struggle, even while earning a good income, is corrosive. It keeps people from asking for help. It keeps people from talking honestly about money with their partners, their friends, their family. It keeps people performing financial confidence they don't feel. And that performance is its own form of exhaustion. This is a channel that is not going to tell anyone to grind harder, to hustle more, to optimize every moment. It's also not going to tell anyone that money doesn't matter or that they should be grateful and let it go. Both of those responses miss the point. The point is that feeling financially secure in this country takes more than income. It takes clarity, intention, and a willingness to examine what money actually means to you personally, separate from what the culture says it should mean. The high-income exhaustion trap is real. It catches people who did everything they were told to do. They went to school, built a career, got promoted, made more money, and somehow arrived at the destination feeling more tired and less free than they expected. That feeling is not a personal failure. It is a predictable outcome of a system that was designed to keep the bar moving and a psychology that was designed to keep people comparing and competing. Understanding that doesn't fix it automatically, but it is the beginning of actually fixing it. More money is not the problem, and it's not the solution. It's a tool. And like any tool, What matters is whether the person holding it understands what it's for. Take the week to actually look at the numbers. Not to punish yourself, just to know what's real. Then ask one honest question. Which parts of the life you're paying for are actually the life you want? That's where it starts.